In this video, I am going to be making a tier list for how I think each of the classes perform in teams in Dungeonborne. So this is either going to be for duos or for trios, and also just for the normal mode. This isn't going to be for competitive, just going to be for like Closeau Castle or Sinner's End, just regular games on either of the difficulties, but for teams. So we have the Fighter, Priest, Rogue, Pyromancer, Death Knight, Cryomancer, Swordmaster, and then the Druid. I don't know why this Z tier is here. I don't actually want that there, so I'm going to try and get rid of that if I can figure out how. Delete row. Okay, so we have S, A, B, C. Yeah, S, A, B, and C. So, first up, Fighter. That's going to go in S tier. The reason this is going to go into S tier is because they have a passive ability, I think it's their will one, that once reached, you don't do any damage to teammates, and you don't take any damage from teammates either. So you can't damage them and they can't damage you. And this just means no matter what you're pairing it with, it's just gonna give everyone an easier time. You can have at it and use Whirlwind or your Battle Cry whenever you want without having to like swing into your teammates. And you know, if you've got like a Cryomancer or a Pyromancer or something, you don't have to worry about their Ice Storm or their Fireball. You can just do whatever you want. Your teammates can just do whatever they want, and you're going to be just fine. So for that reason, because your teammates can't interfere with you in any way, and you can't interfere with them in any way, the Fighter is just going to be like a very, very solid pick for pretty much any team, and it's going to have lots of quality of life things that can be paired with it because of its ability to not deal damage to teammates or not take damage from teammates either. So for that reason, that is going to go into S tier. The Priest I just don't think is good enough. It's definitely the worst class in the game right now. The devs confirmed it's getting major changes, which I take to be a rework. So for that reason, I'm going to put it into B. It's just simply not a very good class. And yes, you can heal your team, but I think in this game, it's going to be better to be able to like kind of push with your team and offer offensive capabilities as well, instead of just kind of staying on the backlines and healing. I think that's not going to work out very well most of the time, unless you're like a super mega coordinated team. But even then, if the enemy team has like a rogue and they sneak up behind, that's not going to go very well for you. So for that reason, it's going to go into B, maybe even C, depending on what I put in A and C later on. So that might change. This is subject to change, but for now, it's going to go into B. And then we have the Rogue with its newly added ability that allows you to make both you and teammates invisible. I think this is pretty solid. They do have a passive that does lots of damage if you've got a good crossbow as well, the one that does 25 damage for 3 seconds every 0.5 seconds over time. That's very, very powerful. If you like activate it in stealth and then you've got a good crossbow to pair with that, you can do like upwards of 400 damage. And then also, I think you can anyway, and then also you can make you and your teammates invisible while you're like getting that 400 damage done, and then you go and push the enemies. So I think this is definitely alright. The ability to go invisible with your entire team can be very, very powerful, so I'm going to put that into A. If you have like a Death Knight and like a Pyromancer and then one of you is a Rogue, and you just jump someone, I don't think that's going to go very well for them. If there's like a Fighter using Whirlwind and a Pyromancer using their Fire Blast, and then the Rogue like shooting crossbows from behind, I think that team is, at least one of them is going to die really quickly if you get the jump on someone. As you know, surprise attacks in this game are very powerful, and the Rogue just makes them even more powerful, especially now that they have the new ability that allows you to make teammates invisible as well. So for that reason, I think it's going to go into A. There are lots of team play things you can do with the invisibility, whether it's like getting away from PvE enemies or just going into PvP fights. I think it's going to be pretty powerful. Then we have the Pyromancer. I think this is also going to go into A. Having someone that's kind of on the back lines shooting stuff into the front lines where maybe the Fighter or Death Knight is going to be pretty powerful. Those fireballs do hit pretty hard. And if someone gets up close to you, if someone sneaks up behind you, you do have the E ability and the spammy fireballs to deal with them on your own for like a couple of seconds to buy your teammates some time to catch up to you. So for that reason, I think it's going to go into A. The E ability is very powerful for just knocking people back, and then you can obviously call out to your teammates that someone's behind. Maybe they can come help out. And fireballs are just super powerful to spam. So they're going to be very good on the back lines, and if someone does come up close to you, there is going to be the E ability that you can use to knock them back, and then obviously you're going to follow up with some more fireballs. So I think that's definitely going to be pretty powerful in A. Death Knight, do I want to put this in S or do I want to put this in A? I think I'm going to put this into S, because I do think the Death Knight is better than the Fighter, so I'm going to put it in front. And also, the grab is super powerful in duos especially, so if you've got like one teammate that's maybe in a bad spot, you could just pull them out of there. Or if you've got two enemies kind of trying to focus your teammate, let's say they're a mage and they're both trying to focus them because it's like a Pyromancer or something, they're doing lots of damage, you can just grab one of the enemies, and now it's like a 1v1, two 1v1s. And if you're confident in your ability and your teammate is confident in their ability, taking two 1v1s is generally going to go a lot better for you than taking like a 2v1 where one of you is kind of far away from the fight, which can happen a lot of the time. People will kind of focus on one person and try and take them out quickly and then focus the other one, so they'll have try and do 2v1s. Like if a rogue petrifies you or something, then focuses the other teammate. But the Death Knight can kind of prevent that, so if your teammate's in a bad spot, just grab them, pull them out, and if you... Well, yeah, you can grab a teammate and pull them out, or you can pull an enemy towards you and try and take them out as well. And also, your other ability doesn't damage enemies. Like, neither of your Q abilities damage enemies, so that's a nice little bonus there, so you can only hurt enemies with regular attacks. So that's why I'm going to pop that there. The grabbing is very, very, very powerful to grab teammate out of bad position, or grab an enemy into a bad position, but pull them towards a bad position, a good position for you. That's going to be very powerful, especially if you've got like a Pyromancer fully charging a fireball into its stage 2, and you grab them, and then Pyromancer uses the fireball, and then you follow up with the Q ability. They're really not going to have much of a chance, and that's going to be like a 2v1. It's going to be very, very good for pulling enemies into a bad situation. Even better if you're a team of 3, if it's like a Pyromancer and a Cryomancer or something, and you get the jump on someone and you grab one enemy into a bad position, they're probably just not going to survive that. It's going to be a 2v1 for the rest of the fight. Going to go a lot easier from there. So for that reason, the grab is super powerful. I think I'm just going to pop it into S. Obviously, they are super tanky. Two-handed swords and crossbows is what they can use. Some of the best stuff right there. So they're going to go into S. Then we have the Cryomancer. And the Frostbite Curse is still pretty powerful, I think. So I think I'm just going to put this into A. The ability for them to go into the ice block and have both healing and immortality is really powerful, because if someone tries to focus a Cryomancer, you can just be immortal for like 10 seconds. I don't know how long it is, but it's very, very powerful. And standing on the back lines and just shooting at people with your staff and just constantly using Frostbite Curse is going to be really, really, really annoying to play against. In fact, it is really annoying to play against. So I think for that reason, it's going to go into A. And so you have capabilities from afar, and if someone gets up close, you are still going to be able to just go completely invincible. And obviously if you're using Thunderclap Flasks, which you probably will be as a Cryomancer, because your whole thing is you slow the enemy down, so you might as well slow them down more with some Flasks, then you can also pair that with a Lightning Staff, and if you take a 1v1, you can really just destroy someone with like a slow effect from one of your abilities, and then the slow effect from the Thunderclap Flask, and then just lightning them. They're probably just going to die. But there's not so much that they're going to be able to do against it, unless they're also a Cryomancer that can go into immortality mode. So yeah, just having the immortality is just really, really helpful for if someone pulls you into a bad position. You can just go immortal for a couple of seconds until teammates catch up, or maybe pull you out of the bad position. And also the Frostbite Curse, if you're standing on the back lines, is super duper mega annoying to play against. So that's going to go into A. I might actually put that in front of the Pyromancer, because the Pyromancer does a pretty similar thing, like good at long range, can hold up close pretty well, but I think the Cryomancer holds up close a little bit more, because the Pyromancer only knocks someone back, but with the Cryomancer you've got much more time to kind of make call-outs to your teammates and just go invincible while you're doing so. Then we have the Swordmaster. And honestly, the Swordmaster is a little bit annoying to play within teams, because one of your best things is the Whirling Blade ability, or E ability, but you don't want to use that on teammates, because it is going to mess them up a little bit. So that's a little bit hard to play with, and obviously your Psionic Blades are quite good, but it doesn't really offer a whole lot to your team. So, but they don't, it's not like they suck or anything. And there are certain combinations that would be super annoying. Like if you've got 3 Swordmasters, if you use all 3 of those Q abilities on the same person, they're probably just dead, especially if you have the jump on someone. So I'm gonna put this at the end of A. I think they're gonna be pretty situational, but I think generally they're still gonna be very solid. The only thing you have to watch out for is the E ability. The 50% damage reduction while the E ability is active. If your teammates steer clear of that, that's still going to be a whole lot of damage reduction, so it's still going to be very, very powerful. And obviously your 4 Swords ability is very powerful as well. So I think it's okay to put that into A. And then we have the Druid. Where am I going to put the Druid? The Trent or Treant is still very, very powerful. Going into Panther form, being able to either get out of a bad position or go into a good position or just chase someone down is still super powerful. So I think this is actually probably also going to go into A. And then maybe I'll just delete C entirely. So then we only have 3 tiers. So yeah, Druid, very good for just like kind of starting off the fight, and you're probably just going to get like a guaranteed 100 damage on someone that's in that area, which is like a 1/6 of their health gone for the most part, depending on what class it is, 6th or like a 7th of their health maybe, which is very powerful. If you've got 2 of them, which one of the perks does, that's going to be very good. And then you can just kind of do whatever your teammates are doing. I think it's going to be very easy to play Druid. I think they're going to fit in with whatever your teammates are, because you can enter a fight whenever you want. So let's say a fighter like charges into a room, you can just go into Panther form and pounce on someone while they're charging. You can just do that together. And if it's like a Pyromancer that knocks someone back and then they start running away from the teammates, the enemies rather, you can just go into Panther form and also run away from the enemies. So you can kind of go in and out of fights as much as you want, which makes it very easy to like stick with your team and like run away with them or go into fights with them. So it's like very easy to do that because you've got lots of time to do it. You do it very, very quickly. And also your Treant is just very, very powerful, and Panther form is very powerful, and in general Druid is still pretty good. Obviously it still has like pretty good recon senses. You can tell exactly where someone is within a certain range of you. You basically just get wall hack still. The range isn't as far now, like I think you hear someone before you can see them with the wall hacks, but it is still very, very, very good. You can pinpoint exactly where someone is if you're about to get the jump on them as a Druid, which can be very, very valuable information for your teammates. And also just Pyro Staff and Lightning Staff is pretty powerful if you combine them with like Thunderclap Flasks in general, even if you're not a Cryomancer, so they and also the Pyromancer would still have access to that, which is a very, very powerful combination as well. But yeah, Druid's going to be very easy to play. Just like jump in and out of whatever fight you want to, and they'll probably blend quite well with whatever pairing you have. Yeah, I honestly could put Priest in like C or D or something. I'm just going to leave 3 tiers though, because I feel like putting Priest in B and just having them be the outlier is pretty alright. And I'd say that's a fairly decent tier list right there. Death Knight, just super duper mega tanky. You're probably going to want to have like either a Death Knight or a fighter in your team, and I do think Death Knight is going to be best because I think they're slightly better than the fighter, but then again, the fighter's ability that makes you not take damage from them, or they don't do damage to you, is also pretty solid, so it's kind of up to you whichever one you want to pick there. And both of those, like, you're generally going to want a tank in your team if you're a trio. If you're a duo, it might differ slightly, but if you're a trio, you probably want some type of tank in your team, so that's why Death Knight or fighter are going to be S tier. Grab super powerful, and the fighter's passive is super powerful. In A, you basically just have things that can do damage really quickly if things go right for them, but if things go wrong for them, then you're probably going to want like a Death Knight or fighter to kind of get you out of that bad position. Like well, maybe not. I don't know. In A tier, we have everything that isn't the priest. That's what I'm going to say. In A tier is everything that isn't the priest, but I think they're all very solid picks. I don't think any one of these is going to be super powerful. I might actually put the No, I think Cryomancer behind Rogue is okay. I think Rogue is pretty good now. Cryomancer's Frostbite is good. And by the way, left to right is what I think is best to worst. I don't know if I said that already. So we have the Rogue. I think that's pretty good. Cryomancer, Pyromancer just behind that. And then I think I'm going to put the Druid probably. Maybe I'll put Druid and then Pyromancer and then Swordmaster, because I think it is... You know what? I'm just going to put Druid in A tier. First in A tier, actually, because they are very, very, very easy to play. Like, Cryomancer, I'd say, would be slightly better in the right hands, but I think Druid's going to be a lot easier to play. So there you go. I think that's going to be my tier list there for all the aforementioned reasons for teams in, like, Clozo Castle or Sinner's End, just casual game modes, not competitive game modes. So yeah. There you go. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments down below. Let me know if you would change anything. I do pay attention to all of that. So, yeah. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to be it for this video. If you liked it, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Farewell.